All right, good morning, everybody. It is, gosh, mighty another day. I feel like I'd just be a happier person if I broke down the Yankees every day, just talked about their game because they found a way to lose again. Their closer blew the game, except unlike the Orioles, they were actually up, what was it, 7-4 at some point yesterday, and they found a way to lose. So the problem is they lost to the Red Sox, and if the Orioles and the Yankees aren't careful, the Red Sox are going to win this division. So that was the only, I guess, good news last night. Is the Yankees lose, the Orioles lose again. Very frustrating. My favorite player, Kerstead, looked like he was lost in left field, trying to catch that one ball. They ran into the wall. That was hard to watch. Mountcastle, I know Gunner got the air on that. The ball was, wasn't a good throw, but Mountcastle just felt like, I don't know, he like whipped the ball instead of just catch the damn ball. It's just ridiculous. And then Kimbrel, I mean, look, there's if you want to blame Hyde for putting him back out there because it's back to back, I think that's fair. But when he has 4 days, 5 days rest, he's not pitched well past couple of times. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he's 1 out away. So it's hard to say that he shouldn't have been out there. He's just got to get the last guy out. He doesn't, and we lose. Said it yesterday. This Jerks and Pro 4 guys, their best player for some reason, and there he goes again. 2 home runs. Grayson was good yesterday, solid, but more like just need to be a little bit better. I guess we lose again, so very very frustrating. A lot of things to discuss here as far as you know, just what we do is like with the roster right this second. So I'm gonna get to all that in a second, but I think something just hit me yesterday where, as I'm watching the game, when I see the lack of energy and just things feel off. And I said it, in regards to Hayes. I like Hayes, individually, and I actually think he'll be really good with the Phillies. But it's just off. He's not playing as much as he wants. It messes up the chemistry, and that's where I'm now out. That's where I'm at now with Mountcastle. I didn't feel this way a few weeks ago. I thought it was kind of ridiculous to trade him. Even a couple of days ago, when I first saw the rumors about him and Mullins, I kind of dismissed it just because I don't think Mullins gets traded. But I think it's time to move off Mountcastle, and here's why. Two reasons. One, I think we have a better player in house, which is Mayo. And then the second reason is I don't think he's happy, and I think it's messing up some of the flow. I don't think he said anything publicly. I'm not reporting anything. It's not like I have clubhouse inside sources on that, but he's batting down in the lineup, went from batting third and fourth to he's bat seventh in certain spots. And when there's a right-handed pitcher, he doesn't get the bat. So he's getting platooned in the same way, Hayes was, because once there's a right-handed pitcher, O'Hearn takes that first base spot and they're using someone else at DH, whether it's Adley that's getting a break in a certain spot because McCann is catching, or simply because Cowser and Kerstead and Mullins all get to play, or at least 2 out of those 3 guys, plus Santander. And there's just not a spot for Mountcastle. It feels like at the moment when there's a right-handed pitcher. Now, when there's a left-handed pitcher, yeah, he's getting plugged in at first base. And he's just not playing great. It's hard to move off these guys. It is, but I think it's time. I do. I think it's time to move off Mountcastle. I think it's an easy fix. About a week ago or a few days ago, even, I was more inclined to bring up Mayo for Arias, but especially with Mateo being hurt, I think you have to keep Arias on the roster. Plus, I don't think he fetches. Not, I don't think. I know he doesn't fetch nearly as much value as Mountcastle would. Mountcastle, I think, needs a change of scenery. He can go to a contending team. He can go to a team that's rebuilding. He still is under team control for a couple years. He's a really good player, but I think Mayo is going to be a better player. I think it's time for Mayo to come up. So you make the similar trade that you did with Hayes, where you just move Mountcastle for whether it's a reliever or a starter, or you package them together and we can get a top line player. But I think it's going to be an addition by subtraction, simply by getting him off the team and solidifying, basically more roles for solidifying the roles for all the guys on the team, which is when there's a left-handed pitcher, Mayo gets to play first base. O'Hearn goes to the bench. Easy, done, plug it in. When there's a right-handed pitcher, O'Hearn can play first base. Mayo can either play third base or he can be the DH, but he's got to play every day. Like at this point, he had another home run yesterday. The offense, we're just in too much of a funk. There's nobody to go out and trade for. That's not the answer. The answer is within. Like, hopefully, this is the year that we can win the World Series, but we're going to have to do it with a bunch of young guys. And I think it's time for Mayo to come up. Solved. Where you want to bat him doesn't matter. Bat him third, bat him seventh, bat him whatever you want to bat him. It doesn't matter. But he's got to play 6 days out of the week. So once you solve that, then you can just plug in some holes with Mountcastle, or frankly, you can just rebuild the farm system a little bit by getting rid of Mountcastle. Like I said, it'll be addition by subtraction. Mayo comes up. One to Norby for a second. Didn't look great yesterday, but you got to let him bat in that inning with at the end of the game with Mullins. Pinch hitting there, I don't like it. It's just you hurt his confidence. I don't think Mullins as a pinch hitter is the right spot there. Frustrating, whatever doesn't work out. That was one thing that I would pick at with Hyde yesterday. But Norby gets that second base spot. You're plugging him in, and you got Westberg over there at third. And that's why I said when there's a left-handed pitcher, Mayo can play first base. When there's a right-handed pitcher, if you want to keep Westberg in, you can just DH Mayo. But I think he's got to play 6-7 days out of the week. So what do we do when Mateo comes back? I think that depends on how Norby's playing, because Mateo comes back and either Arias goes down, or it's just over with Arias if Norby's playing that great. If not, then Norby goes back down and you deal with Norby in the offseason, figure out where he fits in. Jackson comes up in September. You can add one guy. I think that's pretty much locked in unless there's another injury. I just don't see them bringing up Jackson before September. That way he gets as much time as possible to perfect his swing, get comfortable. Perfect's the wrong word, but work on a swing, get comfortable. And then he comes back up in September and gets like the audition to make the playoff roster by being the 27th guy. I think that's what the plan is for Jackson. So that's how I solve the end. That as I work through the roster after the trades yesterday, I'm gonna get to the trades in a second. That's what I would do now. The last piece that you have to figure out is the Stowers, Kerstead, Cowser situation, because you got to move one of those guys. I think you have to move Mountcastle, and then you got to move one of those outfielders. I don't think it's Kerstead. I really don't think it's going to be Cowser either. All signs point to it being Stowers. I would move Cowser, as I said, but I don't fault them if they want to move Stowers. I will fault them if they move Kerstead. Despite yesterday, I really like Kerstead. I think it's just, he had the concussion. It's been a rough, I guess, handful of games for him since the All-Star break, since the concussion. But let it play out here over the next couple of months. I think Kerstead will prove to be the best out of the bunch. But you got to move one of those guys because they have value, and we need one more upgrade. Like I said, Mountcastle can be used to rebuild the farm system. Or packaged together in one big trade, but they need at least one gigantic upgrade to go along with the two upgrades they got yesterday. They need one more in the pitching staff. It can be a starter that's just as good as Eflin, or it can be a reliever that's ready to push Kimbrel out of that spot. So let's go through it and start with the trades. And then I'll get out of here and hopefully we find a way to freaking win this game today. All right, so let's do the Hayes. Well, I did Hayes yesterday, but just to kind of put a cap on that one, the value in that trade, right, is obviously getting Sir Anthony Dominguez, and he looked okay yesterday. No, he looked pretty good yesterday. Like I would say he looked really good. Maybe whatever. I think his control is up for debate. So in the high leverage moments is when we'll figure out, if we can kind of tweak some of the things that we did with Cano and Jorge Lopez when he was here. So we'll see how that works out as far as his command. Yesterday wasn't a very high leverage moment. Hyde said he did that on purpose. I like his attitude. I like him. Kimbrel speaks highly of him. So good sign. He has 28 career saves. Think that's good. The underrated piece of that trade was the Christian Pache piece. Young outfielder. He got the pinch run yesterday. Perfect bench guy. As I said, he's very similar to Arias in the sense that He knows he's the bench guy, no problem. If they move, if they move Mullins, I guess he's part of it. If they move one of those guys, in Mullins or Kerstead or Kauser, um, or Stowers, if they move two of them, they now have the luxury of having Pache as the bench guy. They could end up DFAing him if they want. There's a couple of different. My gut feeling is they'll know exactly what they'll want to do with him, obviously after the trade deadline. But my gut feeling is he stays on the bench. They have pretty much the same bench that they have right this second. I think they end up moving Stowers, and if they end up moving Calzer, I think Stowers comes up anyway. But assume that they move out Mountcastle and bring up Mayo. I think they just keep the same what they have as far as the offense is concerned. I think once you can bring up Jackson as the other guy to bring up, and if they wanted to bring up Stowers, if they don't trade him, but I think Pache has value. I think he stays there. Obviously, it's another outfielder, but you're gonna have four bench guys, right? So you have McCann as one of the bench guys. You got Arias in there, and then you have whichever between Kerstad, Kauser, and Mullins isn't playing on a given night. Um, and then you know, then you got the Pache guy. So I think it's good. I think it's solid. I think he'll play, frankly, after the way Kerstad looked yesterday. They can use him as a defensive replacement once he's more comfortable with Oriole Park. So I like having him. It gives the Orioles leverage and flexibility moving forward over the next 2 days. So, all right, Eflin. Love the Eflin trade. Really wish we would have won yesterday because I think I would have been in a super good mood today because Eflin was the pitcher. That's exactly the pitcher I would want, right? And exactly for the package I would want to give up. I wanted somebody that was older, could pitch in October, doesn't have great numbers in October, but he's pitched 10 times. So that's a plus. I think he's really good. I've seen him pitch, I guess, half a dozen times over the years, watching full games. So I really like him. He throws a ton of strikes. I think he's second in whatever that's that like highest percentage of pitches that are strikes. Sure, there's a more efficient way to say it, but all he does is throw strikes. So I like that. 30 years old, by all accounts, great locker room guy. Was teammates with Dominguez in Philadelphia before he went to Tampa, and yeah, just I feel like it's a great trade. Why the Rays give us a pitcher is kind of a common question, right? Like it's within the division. First thought is Orioles gave up really good prospects, so it was probably the best deal that they can get. Number one, number two, they'd rather us win than the Yankees. So Yankees or Red Sox, at least definitely the Yankees. So there's some common small market, I guess, I don't know, brotherhood, even though we don't have to be small market anymore. But I don't think they trade us, like damaged product by any means. I think Eflin, he's 30, he's owed a good amount of money next year. He's under contract. Seems like the perfect guy for 2 years. Seems like him and Grayson, that's two or three. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets the second start in the postseason. I keep speaking us into the postseason here. We better find a way to win some baseball games. But yeah, I think Burns, Eflin, Grayson is really solid. I'm not going to be an expert here on the prospects we gave up, but they are three names that I knew. Three guys that should at least be in the majors at some point, based on projections. So definitely gave up a lot to give them to get them, but didn't give up the top level guys. So by all accounts, seems like a great trade. Eflin will pitch on Monday. He will not pitch. I know Hyde didn't announce it, but he's definitely not pitching Sunday because that would be too early for him. He pitched Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He's scheduled to pitch Monday. We have a double header Monday. Odds are he pitches Monday. Where are they going to do? Right, Kramer's going to pitch tomorrow, or excuse me, today, and Burns is going to probably pitch on that Monday. The way it's set up, so the doubleheader can be Burns and Eflin against the Blue Jays. That sounds exciting. Great. Then Grayson goes again. Then Kramer goes again. Fine. We got the 4 out of the 5. Even if we make a trade, somebody's got to start Sunday. I'm in the camp, and then this will be the last topic for this morning. But I'm in the camp of Cole Irvin. I'm in the camp of let's bring back Cole Irvin. We need a lefty. Oh, need a lefty. Prefer a lefty, right? If you're gonna have four righties in there, I think Irvin I don't know. I just one of those things where maybe he just didn't have a couple of games. He's had some really good spots. Maybe he's had a chance to work on some things. He hasn't been great out of the bullpen anyway. I don't think it's a good spot for him to just kind of throw him out there in blowouts. It's kind of beneath him. I think Irvin is good enough to be the fifth starter. Probably not good enough to make the playoff roster. Um, he might be the one guy that gets squeezed out, depending on if they make another trade here, or maybe he's just the last guy that you use on a playoff roster. I'm not 1,000% sure how he does against the best lineup at the end of the season, but in the dog days here of August, when you need somebody that's going to throw some strikes and hopefully beat some of these bad teams, get some younger players when prospects come up. I like Irvin here. Hyde, I'm sure, will announce it today. If not, he's got to do it, right? They're going to play tomorrow. So it's either Irvin or Suarez, unless he's going to bring back up Povich. Um, or I don't think it's McDermott. So I would go Irvin, and then you got to make a corresponding move because you got to add Eflin to the roster. So they made the decision to get rid of Vinny yesterday, send him back down. I believe Baker's the one that gets sent back down again today. So that frees up Eflin to join the roster. So it's either Irvin or Suarez, or they got to call up somebody. So I assume it's Irvin. Maybe it's Suarez. We'll find out. And then if they make one big trade, the odd guy out is most likely Aiken, could be Suarez. At this point, we'll see because it looks like Birch Smith is pretty solid, and it wasn't his fault yesterday. He didn't. I mean, the ball was hit pretty well, I should say, and then actually one ball was hit really well that Cowser caught. So we'll see, depending on if they make a trade. But that'll be a conversation once they make another trade. I think they have to do it either today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday morning. It should happen. And as much as I like Kimbrel, I either want a guy that's better than Dominguez that we feel like, man, could even bump Kimbrel out of that spot. Dominguez could, but somebody with a little bit more pedigree than him. Or you go ahead and get another starter and you're just not comfortable with Irvin, or maybe you're not even super comfortable with Kramer down the stretch. You just feel like maybe even puts pressure on Grayson or insurance policy for Eflin. You can't have, enough starting pitching. So if there's one more starter they can go after, I would do that. But I think they need one more splash, and moving Mountcastle is, that's what I would do. They moved a lot of their prospects already to acquire Eflin, but they still have a handful of guys to package with Mountcastle. And I would move Cowser if it meant getting a really top level starter that pops up. I would do that. If not, then maybe it makes more sense to do Stowers, Mountcastle, or you can hold on to Stowers if you really want to and deal with that in the offseason. You don't have to trade Stowers. There could be an injury, but I do think Mountcastle is the one that has to be moved for chemistry purposes, just like Hayes. Be interesting to see what they do. Olympic basketball started. If you're betting on that, it's more fun to watch in the NBA. They let them play. I said that the other day. It's much more fun to watch. USA plays tomorrow against Serbia. I'll put my picks out for that. I think that's about it. So Orioles play at 4 o'clock. I guess, I mean, it went 2-2 yesterday. Part of me feels lucky that happened, considering I was headed towards 0-4 until the eighth inning. So Santander came through. But yeah, just 2-2 when I had the Orioles money line or the over, and that one fell short. Just man, they just got to snap out of it. But it is what it is. It's a long season. Certainly not losing hope or giving up. Giving up it all on them. Just one of those stretches. So hope everybody has a good day. And yeah, I'll have picks out later this afternoon. Take care.